Welcome to the Who's Next Let's Go show. I'm your host, Mike motherfucking Johnson. I've been in 3 industries over the last 30 years, including real estate, automotive, and restaurant service. Each week, my guests and I will be sharing the stories that make us say, you can't make this shit up. So take a break from the mainstream bullshit and join me for another exciting episode of the Who's Next Let's Go show. Welcome to today's episode of the Who's Next Let's Go show. I want to thank everyone for coming out this season. I've painstakingly picked out a bunch of hilarious parts of each episode. I'm going to put them together for you today. I want to thank all of our sponsors, especially the Back Porch Brewing Company. I want you to enjoy what I've picked out for you today. I've laughed at them several times myself. I can't stop laughing. None of them have made my hair grow back, unfortunately. However, they are going to be hilarious for you. Have a great time in watching.
Along those lines, there's always those folks that you do get their car and then the next morning they call.
Oh, yeah. I bet you got a few phone calls.
We got a few phone calls. In fact, I took the time to come up with a couple of prized possessions. And, you know, Mike, if you're welcome, you can go ahead and play that.
I actually happen to have those.
Yep.
And I have them right here.
Not for women and children.
Not for women and children. And I want to apologize to Mario's mother. This was not Mom. Him speaking. This was people speaking to him.
Sorry, Mom.
Not sure if that should make you proud or not.
Go ahead, Mike. Hit it.
I'm hitting it here. I'll have some questions afterwards.
Good morning, Wrinkle Dicks and Flappy Pussies. I was calling because guys took a car from me. I just want to let you know, I'm good, man. That car you took from was a piece of shit. Overpriced.
Oh.
Very old. Found something better, paid in cash. No loans from no bum-ass auto credit place. Paid cash money. No more credit loans. You guys are rip-offs, cheaters, liars. And I hope your family and everybody else is burning out, son of bitches.
All right. So hold on. I got to start at the beginning. Did he say wrinkled dicks and sloppy? What I think he said?
Apparently so, Mike.
Yeah, that's awful.
Now, when I go into the office, normally I'm there, 8:45-ish. My staff is there before me, usually by 20 minutes or so. These lovely ladies.
And I've met those ladies. They are super nice. They don't deserve that.
Well, quite frankly, they were laughing hysterically. And they said, we gotta show you something. Laughing hysterically. Oh, that was a good one.
So, and it's a classic. So he's picked that car out.
He did.
Now it's a piece of shit. Because he didn't pay for it.
Yes.
And yet he made the point to tell you he paid cash money for a car when he could have paid the cash to you for the car he already had.
For the payment, yeah.
Then this piece of shit.
Then apparently we're all going
And that's
to
your fault
My fault.
he picked out the car.
Going to burn in hell.
And your whole family's going to burn in hell.
My whole family.
And I've met your family, and they are all nice. I don't know where you get you from, but they're all super nice. And so I'm trying to figure out why you don't just burn in hell, why your whole family's got to burn in hell. And your lovely mother, she does not deserve to burn in hell. She's loved.
No,
That's another plug for Mom.
Stories or whatever. I met this guy and he looked real angry and everything, and his mom was with him. His mom was going to put down 20%, help him out, get a house, because his credit wasn't good. I don't care, let's just do this. So I ended up showing the mom everywhere, and she's a larger woman, very elderly, and I'm showing her properties everywhere. Now, at this time, there was properties everywhere where the electricity was out, all these bank-owned properties and everything else. So we're walking around doing all this. We're probably about, 3-4 miles away from where she actually lives, where they're renting a house. So sure enough, she looks at me and she comes to me and she says, Bobby, I might have a problem. I says, what's your problem? I says, what can I do? And she goes, I've got a problem. I need a toilet. And I didn't see any toilet paper in there. I said, the toilet, it's well water, it's electricity, there's no power, they're not working, you can't use that. And she goes, well, I got a problem. I said, just hang on, my God! Ran out to my car because usually I used to have toilet paper. I'd have a garbage bag or something. But instead that day I cleaned out my car or something. And the only thing I fucking had in the back of my car was this. A little shop rag that was see-through. And I put that down on the seat and I said, let's get in. I says, we got to get you home. And she goes, well, I might have a problem. And I says, don't worry, I'm going to get you home. We're going down this road, Minnesota Beach Road, and I'm doing 60 miles an hour, no lie, man. I am coming up to it and everything. I looked at her and I says, how you doing? Is everything all right? And she looked at me and said, faster. I turned on the 776. I had to go about 2 miles up, 1.5 miles, and I turned on there at 60 miles an hour, and I just doing over 100 miles an hour to get this. I come up to the road, I get straight across, take her to the thing, and I'm starting to smell stuff. And I said, oh, this isn't good, man.
Oh, that's bad.
And I'm like, we pull up real quick, and she's looking at me. I said, as fast as I could. And then she opens the door and she goes, I'm sorry.
She shit in your
And
car.
sure enough, no, she started getting out and she started exploding. And I mean, it was terrible. It was terrible.
Old people dumps are bad.
Oh, no, let me tell you, the smell was a precursor. I'll tell you that.
And I got a question. How come old people, that's all they talk about is money and poop? My grandfather's 95 years old, and all he cares about is calling me on the phone, bitching about how much something costs or he didn't poop today. Well,
And this woman was rich.
well, rich people poop too, Bobby. I know you find that hard to believe.
But they did offer the go ahead and basically pay me back. You know, like, yeah, we'll have your car cleaned and everything else. Well, I had this rag and it smelled so bad I threw it out the window right by their driveway, and I thought, oh, that's terrible. She'll see it walking the dog tomorrow. She'll be embarrassed. I didn't want to embarrass her, you know? So I went back and picked it up and took it down the road and threw it in another ditch.
Everyone has a different idea of what's funny. My funny is when other people are going through a traumatic experience.
We got a timeout already. So you enjoy other people's pain.
Yes, because I feel like when I'm going through something, everyone else enjoys it as well. So I return the favor as often as possible.
I like this guy. He's going to be good.
Yeah.
He's fine.
So this one, and I unfortunately, and if these people are out there, email me or get me on Facebook and let me know what happened. So I go out there to do a home inspection. I'm not gonna, it's in our area, put it in Sarasota County area, doing an inspection, and I'm finding that a good portion of the drains are not fully clogged, but slow. This is an older house built in the 50s, 60s. So my initial thought is older cast iron, you know, you get burrs and things like that. Maybe they're flushing thick toilet paper, other stuff that shouldn't be flushed. So I said, you know, as just a home inspector, we don't do anything invasive. We don't scope pipes or anything like that. We just, when we find something that's wrong, we say, hey, you need to call a professional in that business. So they call a plumber out. Plumber just basically says, okay, slow drains, we're gonna blast the system out, you know. So they blasted the system out the following day, because the day after that, there was gonna be a septic inspection that was taking place. So
I smelled a turd coming.
I don't know. I'm anticipation.
that would be nice if that's all it was. Put it that way.
Good stuff's coming.
So, they asked me to go back. The homeowner was not in, the buyer was not in the area. Only the seller was around. So the buyer asked me, he said, hey, I know you did your home inspection. If you want to charge me extra, you can, but would you mind going out there during the septic inspection? That way, if you find anything out there, you can relay it back to me. Sure. It was close, no problem. I shot over there. Septic inspector comes out there, and unfortunately, the seller was home. The seller's wife was home, and then the realtor was there as well. So the septic guy opens up the lid. There's usually two lids, two chambers, liquids in a solid tank. So opens
I
up the
have
lid.
learned that through osmosis.
Yeah, opens up the liquid tank, looks normal, nothing to worry about. Looks at the solid tank, sees probably about 150 condoms in there.
So homeboy was a player.
That's the problem, is that him and his wife don't use condoms. But they did have, I believe, I heard through the grapevine, like a 16 or 17-year-old kid. So, and I just felt the humidity rise, and it was starting to get hot. I'm like, all right, I've got what I need. I'm getting the hell out of here.
I got to go write a report.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah. Yeah, so we,
Hold on.
yeah.
So the 16 or 17-year-old person was in the home,
Yep.
and the parents had no idea about all this
Yep.
act.
So if you're on, so put it this way, if you're on public sewer, you could get away with it. But if you're on a septic system, things don't magically disappear. So if you're a dumb teenager or a guy cheating on his wife or whatever, you know,
Teenager, that's an oxymoron.
But if anything, it's basically sitting in a vessel waiting to be found. So if you're flushing drugs or whatever down there, someone's going to come across it. So anybody listening, if you're going to do something that you don't want someone to find out about and you're on septic, find another means of getting rid of the evidence.
Get your condoms.
Burn them. I don't know.
Apparently they float.
Yes, they do.
They do float.
And this lady I met on the lot, she was nice. We'd walked around in her car a little bit. The sales managers at that particular dealership wanted to have the registration and insurance card. They could gather a lot of information from those two pieces of paper. So after we walked around and, you know, the typical point out the dent and stick your finger in the tires and let them know there was going to be some deductions.
So they teach you that. Sorry to interrupt, but just so everybody knows at home, they teach you that shit when you learn how to be a salesman.
That's right.
Don't say anything about the dent,
No.
but touch the
Just
dent.
touch it.
So in their mind, it's a deduct.
That's right.
So sorry to interrupt, but just share with
Same
everybody.
with the tires. I mean, that was it. That was it. You were just always setting them up for the number that the sales manager was going to put on the car, because as we all know, whether you've bought cars or sold cars, it's a lot lower than anybody thinks, either whether you're the salesperson or the client.
It's amazing. I go to buy a car and I turn in my trade and I'm like, I want this for my trade.
Right, yep.
And I used to do it.
Yes. Yeah. So anyways, I asked this lady, she was a little bit older than myself. At the point, I think I was 29. I'd been in the car business maybe 3 months. And that's when I started, when I was 29. And I said, hey, could you just go ahead and provide me with your registration and insurance card? And she goes, could you go inside, please? I'm a little embarrassed to open my glove box, and that's where my insurance and registration are.
It's going to get good.
I was like, all right, sure, no problem. So I walk away and I go walking in towards the showroom floor, and of course my intrigue is completely peaked.
Oh, yeah. Oh, my God.
What's in this glove box? Like, I can't wait
I'm
to
gonna
get
look as soon as she turns her back.
As soon as she turns her back. Now I get to drive it around. I get to drive it around the back here in just a minute. So I'm like, oh yeah, no problem. I'll meet you in the showroom. I'll be right
You were there.
yeah. So I see her getting the passenger side, getting her glove box, and she's fiddling around in there for some time. I couldn't imagine why. It's just a couple pieces of paper. But anyways, she finally shows up back in the showroom floor. I ask her for her keys. I take the paperwork up to the sales manager to hand it off so that they can take a peek at her trade while we're out selecting her car, her next car. That's the way we did our process there. So anyway, so I go grab the keys after she comes in and walk out to her car and tell her that I'm pulling it around back, and she didn't say anything more about the glove box at this point. So I'm like, okay. So I go get in the car and I pull it around back, and it's a see-through dealership, so you could see back to the area where the sales managers were and where I pulled her car in. And so I'll pull back around in the back, and of course I took about 0.8 of a second to figure out I was going to go ahead and look in the glove box.
Not even that long.
Oh, it wasn't long at all. Like, there was a part of me that said, nah, you probably shouldn't. And then that part of me got slapped quick. You are out of your mind.
Go look
You
in there
know
right now.
damn straight you're looking in that glove box. So I reach over and I open the glove box, and I don't even get to move the glove box down before it flies open. And there must have been at least 3 dildos in this lady's glove box in her car. And so not only are they in there, but they fall out onto the floorboard. And so I'm like, oh, I gotta pick these up somehow. I gotta put them back. She can't know that I looked inside of her glove box.
The travelers.
I'm gonna have some questions after
Buddy,
this.
so I gotta tell you, I'm looking around all over the place for a napkin or a paper towel or something, and there is nothing. So
Tell the truth. You picked him up and hit yourself in the face. You went like this. Oh, why did this keep happening to me?
I knew the bathroom was close, right by where I was going to walk in, and by the time, I swear, I literally stepped out of the car, and she was 2 feet away from me, and she saw me like our eyes met, and she was not angry, not 1 second. Her face was red. We both had to have the pinkest faces on the planet. because both of us were as completely embarrassed as I could possibly imagine. So not only funny, but probably the most embarrassing story of my 17, 18 years.
Well, I got a couple questions.
I said, I was going to go get something to pick those up, but you can handle it, right? She was like, yes, sir, go back inside. I'll meet you back in there. She didn't leave. She wasn't mad about it. It was this,
I got a few questions. Because you know that inquisitive minds want to know.
that's right.
First of all,
No, she was not attractive. I know that's going to be number one.
that eliminates the first question. Was
I
her,
will say, she wasn't unattractive either.
oh, in that situation, I mean, your standards go down a little bit just for the show.
I mean,
Just for the show. So, but
when
was
props
her,
are involved, it
when
goes
there's
down.
props are involved, your level of
Yeah, you can give and take.
this is getting a little interesting. So, anyways, was her windows tinted?
Her windows were tinted, yes.
So, if you were at a red light,
Oh boy.
Who tints their windows in Idaho?
Oh man,
if you have dildos in here, you tend to want to tint your windows.
if you are working the driver's seat,
So if you're at a red light giving it all you got at 6,000 RPMs, you probably don't want people looking in your car.
I tell you what.
I mean, just all shit. Now, were there batteries?
One of them was embarrassing enough to myself that I didn't pay much attention to the rest, to be honest.
Were you embarrassed because the size was more than what you had to offer?
Dude, it was more than my horse when I was little
About
had
5
to.
years ago, it was 2019. It was right before all the COVID craziness. But we were still like in a good market. I'm one of those weird people who like working with lawyers. So I have a lot of lawyer contacts, probate, guardian, that kind of thing.
I have one of those and get a lot of dead people's houses. And by the way, before you go any further, dead people do not complain.
They don't.
They don't bitch about nothing.
And I like having the lawyers too because there's no emotional attachment there. I tell them what the price is. They get it.
The whole
Right.
process is pragmatic.
They trust me.
I can't talk. You guys got me drunk again. Can't talk. Yeah, it's pragmatic. They make
Right.
sense. There's no emotional involvement.
They trust me. They look at the numbers, the comps, whatever. So I get a call one day from a lawyer that I work with, and he says that they have a special situation. And so what they do, they had a situation where, and I don't know always all of the situation, but somebody had died and there was a caretaker. I think some of the initial lawsuit was that they thought that she forged some of the documents before he died so that she could get the house. But the house was a mess.
That goes under the shadiest story too.
Okay, but again, that part of it I wasn't really involved in. I was involved in like
Selling
control
the
of the house, selling the house. So they said they needed to take documents to the court, and what they do is they call it a special magistrate. So I'm in control of the property like 100%. I even actually sign it under my name as a magistrate for the clerk of the court for Sarasota County.
Okay.
So, which means that I can price it the way I want to, I can look at the offers the way I want to, I can negotiate the way I want to, but I do have to take it in front of a judge when I do that to say, hey, so that way, like if I'm getting $1 million house, I'm not selling it for $300 for a quick
Just to
sale.
get a quick.
Right.
Yeah.
So I can, whatever the market is saying I can do, but then I do have to put it in front of a judge. So they do that in front of the judge, and I get my court documents that says that I have control of this house. So I'm all excited because I'm like, oh, it's on a very nice street in Sarasota. It's a 4-bedroom with a pool. And yeah, and again, 2019. So a little bit before the craziness, but still. So they had an old appraisal. And so I looked at the appraisal and I was like, okay, I hadn't seen the house yet. So he gives me the phone number of the woman who lives in the house with her 3 sons.
This is now the caretaker.
This is now the caretaker who's in
And
the
3
house.
sons.
Right. So I call her and I tell her, hey, I'm the realtor. I need to come look at the house. So of course she doesn't want to move. She doesn't want to sell. So I've got my work cut out for me. So I talk to the lawyers. She's not giving me access. So finally I get access to it. I go in there and I'm like, wow. And actually, after I went into the house the first time, I called a realtor that I used to work with our company, and I said, this might be one I need some help on because I think these people are a little crazy. And so I finally get access to the house when I go inside, and I had found that after the current appraisal that the pipes had burst in the house, like all through the house. So the pipes had burst in the house, and There was like sewage that was coming up through the shower. But these people were living in it, right? These people were living in this house. So I'm talking to her, and like, I mean, because the pipes had burst, some of the appliances ripped out, some of the wall was cut out. So I was like, well, I need to price this thing like to get activity to. And she wasn't really allowing that many showings. So we did like one giant open house on like a Thursday night from like 5 to 8 or something like that.
Never mind that turd, folks. Just sign right here, press hard.
Oh my God! So of course,
it was floating
So we go through the house with the other realtor that I had. We go through the house because when I first took the listing too, I think her sons were calling me kind of harassing. They were pretending they were other people. She didn't like the price I put on the house, all this other stuff. And when I started adding up, so it needed a new roof, the pipes had burst, you could walk through it and you could like basically just feel like, yeah, I mean, it was so bad. They had pulled out, the dishwasher was out, the walls were cut out, like, and the sewage. And this house at one point was so beautiful that it was in a magazine, like a local architectural magazine for Sarasota. And like it had, the pool in the backyard was like a grotto style pool. And you couldn't even tell there was a pool back there. Like they had like old gym equipment thrown in the backyard, all this other stuff. So because of the price point of the house, when I held the open house, there was just people through all the time. So when we walked in for the open house, of course, I think the AC had burst that day because there was like water coming, and I walk in and I'm like, well, this one more thing to add to everything.
Time out. Sorry to interrupt. So you have no AC
I mean, AC was off.
and sewage going through the house.
Sewage.
Rock sewage coming through the house.
What time of the year was this?
I think it was like August or September.
Oh!
It may have been like around September of 2019.
Oh, so you had heated up raw sewage.
Right, and so you could also look up at the air vents, and because of the air vents, you could see the insulation like hanging, so you knew that there were rats up there too. So there were rats up there.
Critters.
And then when we walked into the laundry room, there was a palmetto bug that was like 5 inches long, right on the wall, and it was just like that. So we get through that, and I say, look, I'm just gonna have to do like one big open house because you're not gonna let people in. There's no lockbox. I mean, and she didn't want to leave. She was like refusing to leave for the showing.
Fuck, I wouldn't have been able to get in there fast enough. I'd have been
Oh yeah, no, she was like, and she thought the house was worth so much more. So she kept telling me, where the story really starts to get good is she kept telling me that her boyfriend was gonna buy the house for her. And I said, okay, that's cool. Just have him send me a contract or call me, whatever. Well, he's very busy because he's famous. So I was like,
This is going to
okay.
take a wrong turn quick.
So I said, okay, so we're going to do an open house like tomorrow or whatever the day was. We're going to do an open house. And so we do the open house, and I quickly realized who she thought she was engaged to, because I actually think I'm pretty sure she was being catfished, because she even showed me pictures of like a.
For us old people, what is catfishing?
So somebody makes a fake account as Bradley Cooper and starts sending it to some poor person who thinks
I
that
could
Bradley
pass for that.
Cooper is. But they put Bradley Cooper. I get messages from Brad Pitt all the time and Johnny Depp and all kinds of weird stuff. So it's
I
just
could pass
it's
for Bradley Cooper.
basically yeah, it's basically like she was getting catfished. So I said, okay, we're gonna do an open house. So we get there, me and the other agent that I pulled in. And the house is like not at all ready at all. And people start coming because like.
How do you make a house like that ready, though?
Right. You don't. But like her sons were there, so she's got signs up on the walls that say, "Don't talk to the realtor. My boyfriend is a country music star, and he's buying me the house." Like there are signs in the house. No, I swear there were signs in the house. So like. John and I were looking at each other and we're like, okay, we're just gonna have to figure this out. And thankfully I don't think I can do so much alone, but I don't think I could have done this one. So one of the sons had this pit bull that was like nasty and growling, like not your friendly, cute pit bull. This dog was aggressive. So we're like, the dog's gotta go. So he leaves with the dog for like 30 minutes and then comes back and says, can I come back in with my dog? And I'm like, no, we're still. So he decides that he's just gonna like be on there. He slams the door and he's on the front lawn. He's like, these fucking people, I'm gonna fuck everybody up. And he starts yelling and people are walking through the house. So then the other son, who like decided
I
he
got
was
questions, so I'm writing them down. Go ahead, keep going.
So then the other son who decides real quick that he's just not going to come out of the bedroom, he's just going to be getting in there getting high. So we're like,
That was my
okay.
question.
So right. So then so we're like, the dog's got to go. Like that. I don't care what else happens. The dog's got to go. If that dog bites somebody, we're all going to be in a lot of trouble. So he finally leaves with the dog after he just is on the front lawn yelling for like a couple of minutes. So then John and I realize that there's people walking through the open house and they just disappear. And we're like,
Well, they're in the other son's room smoking a blunt.
yeah.
You're lying.
I swear.
You called it.
So then we're like, so finally, because we're like, when the people come in and I'm talking to them and I tell them, I'm like, look, their signs up, just, and then we realize that she's also walking around talking to people about her country music superstar fiance or whatever. And so they come over and they start asking me questions and I'm answering the questions. And then we realize that the people that we were talking to, like, they come walking out of the bedroom.
Stone as a bat.
So like that's all going on, and John and I are just looking at each other like we just can't wait till this is over. We know someone's buying this house because like there was value there for an investor, so we know somebody's buying this house. So like we go through all that, and then we realize so there was also things that were in the house that were furniture that were kind of part of like the estate, but so she just also decides that she's just going to start selling stuff. People they're walking through the open house. So like someone's going, oh yeah, I'll buy that bench for $50, and I'm just like, I can't even believe
So
it.
it turned into a garage sale.
Turned into a garage sale.
So, did you have snacks for your open house?
No.
Because the people coming out of the room.
With the snacks and the palmetto bugs would have been like totally perfect.
No, the people coming out of the room high would have loved the snacks on their way.
No, I didn't really think that far ahead.
You didn't. You got to provide for the people getting high. See, shame on you as a realtor.
Should have brought my own
Tater
stash.
tots.
Yeah.
You need the tater tots.
Yeah.
brought my-
Doritos and
I could have had my own supply if I really would have thought about it. And been like, hey, buy the house.
everybody's gonna get high. I might as well too. Shit.
So I'm trying to talk to people who I think are legitimately like wanting to go to this house. And in the meantime, like the one son's, that son's like at least gone because he was yelling, and the other son's getting high, and then the woman's walking around talking about her country music superstar boyfriend, and don't talk to the realtors because he's gonna buy her the house and whatever.
Vomit is like, no matter how long you've been in this industry, vomit, feces, things like that, they are not easy to be around, no matter how long. Like we actually keep Vicks in the truck to put under your nose so that you can avoid some of the smells. It's a little trick, right?
Good trick.
Yeah, so
I got a 95-year-old grandfather.
I need to,
yeah.
I need to have some of that at home.
So, hey, it's a good tip, right? You got a bad smell, put Vicks under your nose, right? So we had a call, and it was a sick lady, and she, I don't remember what was wrong, but she was just really, really sick. And we were pulling her out over in Venice on the island, and we're pulling her out on the stretcher, and we have some sidewalks to navigate and some grass, and we're trying to, move the stretcher. And all of a sudden, she threw up. And she's laying there, and I'm right here by her face, right? And it's like the Matrix. It was like the Matrix. This vomit came out like this.
You saw it coming.
I swear that I felt like time slowed down.
Here it comes.
And I'm like this. And it goes completely over me. And I swear it was just like the Matrix. And I had such a hard time composing myself to not want to vomit right back at her. And we load her up in the rescue, and I had to go.
It was
take the moment.
January, and it was an unusually warm day in January for Colorado, and I'm wearing a snazzy little outfit because I have to go meet with some higher ups at, some of my beautiful office buildings. But I got a frantic phone call from my district manager underneath me that said, she's crying, I can't even understand her, I need you to come out here. I'm like, you have on-site managers and her, and then like, I'm way up. I'm like, okay. I get out there and she's like, there's something wrong. And there was like 500 pads out there for trailers. It was a big place. It was built right after World War II. I know where you're going.
No, I didn't. I didn't want to go there. I was like, what the
okay,
fuck?
good. No.
I didn't want to go there.
Nobody wants to.
No.
And so, and they're all very close together because they were built right after World War II. So it's not like now with the rules where you're far apart. I mean, you are. And they are like 10 by...
High-fiving each other through
And
the
these are like
trailers.
1950-something 10 by 50 trailers. We are not talking...
Single legs.
Correct. And so I get out of my car and I'm like, oh, you have a dead body here on the property. She goes, are you sure? I'm like, I can smell it. I'm sure. And so the lovely people who lived in one of the units, she never left the house. She had that agoraphobia. They were in their 50s. I thought they were, dead. Obviously, I could smell. So the fire department went in to make sure that it wasn't the gas that killed them. The lieutenant went in there. He came out screaming like a little girl. The woman in the back woke up like in the movie Seven. She sat back up. She was in I can say his name. He's dead. He was.
You can say his name.
Eugene. He's dead. He was at the kitchen table like this. Passed away. And then she was face down on the bed. Well, then as soon as they went in with their gear, she sat up and waved at everybody. She had hit him over the head with a cast iron frying pan and had been living with his dead, rotting corpse for 21 days. Now, she was a sturdy girl. And he was in the
Hold on.
She was sturdy. And he was in the kitchen. So she was eating for those 21 days.
Oh, and it's a little trailer.
So 10 by 50, they take her out on a stretcher. God bless her, right? That's what we say. Bless her heart. Obviously, she has lost her mind. And
She cold cocked him with the frying pan?
well, then this is when digital cameras first came out, and my head of maintenance is there, and they take a picture of Eugene, and they're like, is this him? And he's like this. I've seen him wear those shorts before. He's like, you have to understand, Eugene was this color when I saw him last. And now
blue.
He looks different. So, the coroner comes out and he's wearing an Armani suit. I'm like, what are you doing, man? And he drops.
The coroner comes out. Hold on, time out. Why would
he was very fancy. Oh. It might have been Armani Exchange. Yeah. Might not have been full Armani, but he was very fancy and he didn't wait for his partner. I go, you might want to wait because Eugene's been,
been in there.
Rigor mortis has set in, left, came back, and he dropped him. And I don't know if you know anything about bodies.
They break.
You're correct. that skin, when it hits, it just. Oh. So then you got Eugene juice everywhere, and
Eugene juice.
and Eugene juice is seeping into this wood trailer everywhere, and so they drag him out. Well, he is stuck in the body bag like this, because he's kind of petrified like this. Well, and they couldn't fit him in the back. I'm like, just put him in the front seat with you. Put his head on the counter or on the dashboard because they brought a van out. Well, you have to have, we're doing eviction at the same time and there's so many police. Well, I get back to our office and my boss is a hugger.
Oh?
He's a hugger. He likes to hug.
I thought you said a hooker. I'm like, what?
Maybe. God bless him. I love that guy. I don't think he needs to escort, but.
All right, fair enough. I just misunderstood.
But he goes to hug me. I'm like, don't hug me, because I had to go in and lock the door. I had the juice, and I'm wearing a beautiful Ann Taylor outfit. And he's like, what is that? I'm like, it's Eugene. Well, he was my number 40 dead body that I came across personally. So the next day we had our weekly meeting, and I got a set of steak knives.
I've played at more weddings than I've been to. And from meeting with parents, meeting with couples and whatever, if the couple plans it together, it's usually a pretty good, successful, nice party.
Yes.
It's when everybody else gets involved and wants to stick their 2 cents into everything and the seating chart comes out because God forbid these people sit with these people.
Oh, you can't have that.
Then you got mom's wishes, you got dad's wishes, you got auntie's wishes, you got, the weird old uncle from Cleveland.
Nobody wants to sit with Aunt Judy.
At my wedding.
The big old booty.
She smells.
At my wedding, now my mother, of course, was the first one to say, you guys can plan your own wedding. You could do whatever you want, whatever you, just let me see the seating chart before you, of course. Now, my wife and I had our wedding at a place called the Royale in Seymour, Connecticut. And it was owned by a guy who was a little bit, maybe a little something going on there. But he was friends with my father-in-law. My father-in-law's name is Sal, and he's Italian. Mm-hmm. So when an Italian guy refers to another Italian guy whose name is Sal as Sally, you now know that there's, hey, Sally, how you been? I ain't seen you in so long. Thanks for coming down and letting us do the business. Listen, He says, if you have any problems with any family members, see that closet right there? You just let me know. Give me the wink. I will put whoever you want in that closet, and that's where they'll stay for the rest of the wedding.
So much for ethnic weddings.
The early 2000s, it hadn't quite rolled over to the sensitive culture that we have yet today.
Oh, God. Yeah, don't even get me on my soapbox about that. We'll have another whole podcast.
Right.
But I've been canceled already, so it's okay. You can't cancel me twice.
When I used to make the
about
appointments
that?
myself, I wasn't as detailed about where I was going or what I was looking at. Now that my wife and her assistant run the office, they got a spiel. They're like,
they
"He's
do a
doing
great
this
job.
and this and this and this. He's going there,
Your wife
so
is
you can
on
prep. Go hide your drugs. Go hide your butt plugs. All that. Get it out of here. 'Cause we don't want to come across because it's super fucking awkward.
Yeah,
You know?
it's awkward.
It is. So
They tell the homeowner this?
basically,
say it nicer.
this is where we're going to go. If you have anything you don't want in photographs to your insurance company, you may want to relocate it.
Correct.
Basically, yeah. Because
How politically correct is that?
well, where we're going is usually where people hide their shit. You know?
I've been on listing appointments and seen some crazy, like, you could have put that away.
Yeah.
I mean, I was telling somebody the story about that said, "Welcome to Pound Town," above the head. I'm taking listing pictures. I don't need that in a listing picture.
Yeah.
You don't need that.
I got a box of sex toys to the head once. I was, it was a condo.
Whoa. Say that again.
It was at work. I was in a condo, it was a second floor condo, and the access to the attic was in the master bedroom closet. So I went up like this and I tilted it like this, and a whole freaking box of strap-ons and shit nailed me in the side of the head.
God, I wish I had a video of that. Just getting hit in the face with.
And of course, the homeowners, they're like, "We've never seen that before." And I'm like, okay, we're gonna leave it at that.
Must
We've
have been the previous owners.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Ma'am,
So-
you've had the house for 37 years.
Yeah.
Well.
Yeah. So yeah, it's hard to talk your way out of that one.
Yeah, and it just makes it so awkward for you. I mean, you get hit in the face with a strap on.
Yeah.
Why does this keep happening to me? Can we chalk this next story, whatever story you might tell us, which is going to be the funniest story you have, I'm assuming. Can we chalk that up to today's episode of You Can't Make This Shit Up?
You can't make it up.
Sorry, my ex-wife was in the background. Thank you for watching today's episode of the Who's Next Let's Go show. That concludes season 1. I want to thank all of my great guests for coming out, our great sponsor in the Back Porch Brewing Company. I want to thank Mr. Mario for his participation all season, and Mr. Cliff for being the greatest producer on the history of the earth. I want to remind everyone to subscribe. Wherever you're getting your podcast or wherever you're watching that, please make sure to subscribe. I want to welcome you back for season 2 coming in the fall. I already have great guests lined up. It's going to be a great season, so make sure you come right back here. Thank you for listening to today's episode of the Who's Next Let's Go show. If you want to hear more, you can catch new episodes on Wednesdays at noon, and all episodes will be on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. Be sure to follow us on Facebook at the Who's Next Let's Go show.